Much for joining us this afternoon here. We're going to have a handful of questions from you from the media. What we'll do is I'll introduce them by name and media outlet, and then you can go ahead and answer. We're going to start with Trevor Groves from cutigers.com.
Hey, Bach, how much is this game going to mean to you personally, going up against Ohio State, just being from that state, and I presume you know a bunch of guys on that roster, and getting to start in this game this year?
Yeah, it definitely means a lot. Obviously, we had the opportunity to play Ohio State last year, but I was not necessarily as big of a role on the field. So being a starter now has a little bit more motivation for this game for sure. Anytime you get an opportunity to play a game of this caliber, I mean, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you can never take it for granted. And a lot of people want to assume, well, we could be back next year. Well, you never know. So to get this opportunity is really special. And as you said, there's quite a few guys I know on their team and a couple of former teammates of mine as well. So really looking forward to that and excited for the weekend.
Next will be Bill Rabinowitz from the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Matt. I'm assuming you're going to go against Tommy Togiai a decent amount. Could you just kind of give me your impressions of him?
Just strong, explosive, I would say. Really going to anchor down there in the middle. And just their inside guys as a whole, I think they do a really good job. They're very well coached, and it's going to be a challenge. And it's definitely kind of the nature of the game. When you get to games like this, it has to be in the trenches, and this game is no exception. And they're very talented, both on the inside and the outside, but specifically on the inside. Obviously, Haskell Garrett is a great talent as well. So they've got a lot to work with, but him in particular, I mean, he's a real plugger, and he can give a nice bull rush as well. So definitely going to be a big battle to look out for this Friday.
We will now go to Scott Rabelais from the New Orleans Advocate.
Matt, I know Trevor and Travis owe all their success to you guys up front, of course. But how have they made your jobs easier, having such experienced? I mean, you guys have one of the most experienced backfields in the country, I would assume.
Yeah, well, I would say I don't know if all of their success can be attributed to us, because you're talking about two really special players and two guys that have made some incredible plays over the course of their careers, and sometimes not exactly with all the help from the offensive line. But yeah, it's amazing to be able to block for two guys like that who are just so special in their own way. And Trevor, obviously a generational talent and likely number one pick. Just to be able to play with a guy like that who's just as great of a guy, from a character perspective as well, is a real privilege. And Travis, I mean, to be the leading rusher in the history of the ACC is something that I don't think we can all really understand the significance of until maybe a couple years removed, because an accomplishment like that obviously does not come around that often. And to be a small part of that is something I take pride in. But like I said, I mean, some of the plays those guys make are absolutely incredible. And there's definitely been multiple times when I've been on the field with those guys, and I've just been in awe at their ability and just the will to win.
Next will be Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Hey, Matt, it seems like you guys have kind of found your groove running the ball in the last couple games, and Ohio State's run defense has been pretty strong all year. Just what do you think has been the key to success for you guys to get your run game going, and kind of what do you see in this matchup with Ohio State?
Well, the biggest thing, just following the loss against Notre Dame, it was a huge emphasis and something that we really wanted to correct moving forward. Wouldn't necessarily say we're just a run offense, but at the same time, it's something that we take pride in, especially as offensive linemen. And so just getting back to the basics, really focusing on the details and individual drills and whatnot. And we've started to see it pay dividends, which is something that we're very happy with. And as you said, Ohio State has a very good run defense, and similar to Notre Dame, it's going to be a challenge. And we did what we wanted to do against Notre Dame. And so this week, same thing. It's just focusing on the details, focusing on the basics, and you can never get bored with the mundane, especially at this level of football. It's very easy. You've got extremely talented players and great coaches, but it's all in the details. And to play a group as talented as this, we need to be on our A game with the small things and the details. So that's all I would say. It's kind of a boring answer, but it really is the truth.
Next will be Zachary Brazeler from the New York Post.
Matt, as someone who's from Ohio, how would you describe the kind of the state of the rivalry? What's, what do people from your hometown think of Clemson? And, it's obviously become, bigger with everything going on, the back and forth. I mean, but what from your hometown and your vantage point, what is the state of the rivalry with these two teams?
Well, definitely when I committed to Clemson, I think a lot of people were kind of shocked. It was a little out of the box, I guess you could say, for me to go to a school like Clemson. They hadn't signed a guy from Ohio since Cole Stout, which was more than 5 years before that. So there was definitely some weird reactions at first. Obviously, the people close to me have always supported me, and it's something that I really appreciate. But on the same lines, I have a bunch of friends who go to Ohio State and a ton of guys that I went to high school with or knew otherwise. So it's definitely interesting. I think there's some bragging rights on the line, but it's a passionate rivalry. And you're talking about two of the marquee programs in college football. And, we've been able to take the cake the past couple of meetings, and I know that they want to get over that hump. So it's a passionate rivalry, I'll say that. And Ohio State has a huge fan base and a great following. So I know this is something that a lot of people take pride in, and it matters to a lot of people. So if I can get some bragging rights to a couple of my buddies, then I guess that's just the benefit of it all.
Next is Jacob Benj from Buckeye Grove.
Hey, Matt, it was kind of noted earlier how you're an Ohio guy and whatnot, and Justin Hilliard's from the area. So I'm curious what you think of Justin. He's gone through some struggles. Just what's your impressions of Justin Hilliard?
Yeah, so Justin and I were teammates at St. Xavier for 2 years, and what an incredible athlete. I mean, he was a 5-star, super highly recruited, and it's really been tough for Justin to go through his career, and just it seems like he'd take 1 step forward and 2 steps back from the injury perspective. And he's finally getting healthy, and you can see it on film. I mean, he is a special world-class athlete. And to get his opportunity, I know that he had a great game against Northwestern. And like I said, you just watch the tape and And I really appreciate Justin and look up to him. And he's someone that I really respect. Like I said, we were teammates for 2 years and got to play alongside one another. And now the opportunity to play against one another is something that's special, and it's not an opportunity that you get very often. So I'm really proud of Justin, and just to see him get his opportunity and stick it out for 6 years is longer than most. And so I think it's really paying off for him, and he's having the type of season that he could have envisioned.
We'll now go to David Hood from tigernet.com.
Hey, Bach, I was doing a radio show last night, and somebody was asking me, what is Clemson's motivation now? They're favorite in this game. They are the guys that are, considered to be one of the top programs in the country. Where does the motivation come from? Obviously, a national title's out there and all that. But for this group of guys, what has been your main motivation this year? And what keeps you going through this stupid COVID season?
I think that something Coach Swinney has done a great job instilling in all of us is having an intrinsic motivation. And it's not external factors. As you mentioned, yes, the national championship is something that we have our sights set on every year. And we've been able to get there and win. But also last year, we did not get the job done. So there's a lot of external factors and things that could give you emotion, but sometimes emotion can work against you if it's misplaced. And so really it's an intrinsic motivation internally to see how good can I be as a player and how good can we be as a team. And same thing unit by unit as an offensive line unit, how good can we be? And in order to find that out, you have to give it everything you have every day. In preparation, in film study, and the weight room, everything matters and adds up to see how good can I personally be and how good can we be. And so that's what it comes down to. And really, obviously, this is a high-profile game, the college football playoff. This is where everyone wants to be. But we should be no more motivated to play this game than we should week 1 or week 5. Because at the end of the day, every week's the best of one. And especially at this level of college football, the margin for error is extremely small. And we did have the one loss versus Notre Dame and still got in. But sometimes, I mean, after that loss, you're looking at you have to win out to get in. And so the motivation has to be there internally every week. And no one can force you to be motivated and no one can force you to care. But I think we have a group of guys on this team that care about one another and they care about seeing the potential of this team come to fruition. So it's all internal, it's intrinsic, and the best is the standard. And best, how good is your best personally? So that's what it comes down to. And that's something that Coach Swinney's done a great job instilling in us, like I said.
Thank you very much for the time here this afternoon, Matt.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to click on that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing, and come visit us over at BuckeyeGrove.com for all the best Ohio State information on the web.